Welcome to X Roulette on the SHR Media Network. This is an SHR Media Productions. This afternoon, hopefully, Kris Paronto will be joining us. We're waiting for him to come in. As soon as he comes into the room, we'll throw him right into the mix. If you don't know who Kris Paronto is, you can go to his website, KristianParonto.com, ChristianParonto.com. He was a Ranger. He was not only responded to the Benghazi attack, he lived through the Benghazi attack from beginning to end. He's an author. He's a founder of the 14th Hour Foundation. He's a co-founder of E3 Firearms Association. He's a host of a pro-military document. What doesn't Kris do? TV series called War Hero. He's the owner of Battleline Tactical Gear, and he's a co-owner of Tanto Vodka. So when Kris gets in, we'll go into more of his background as we wait patiently. Of course, joining me and the man who made this all possible, of course, Kris as well, but is Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, who joins me right now. Joe, good afternoon.
What's going on, Zach? John?
How are you, sir?
Wet. Very wet. Very wet.
Yeah, you're right down there in the path. I guess we can talk about this for a minute. Hold on.
This is an SHR Media Network special report.
So, tell me, is it raining yet?
Oh, it's raining cats and dogs. They're not being eaten. It's raining cats and dogs.
For those who don't know,
I am in the Tampa area, Florida.
And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about it while I handle something?
All right. We got Hurricane Helena, I think it is, coming at us. It's down, I think, near Cuba right now, but we're already getting bands of some heavy rain, some pretty good wind. When I can look out my back door and I see mist, yeah, it's got pretty good gusts going on out there. Biggest thing we're looking at so far from what I've been reading, if it keeps the current trajectory, is we will be getting about 9-foot storm surge. And that's...
I'm waiting. Huh? Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
It's just a 9-foot storm surge. If it turns east, but I've been seeing predictions of a Category 4, Category 5, which would extend the hurricane eastward closer to us. Or if it takes a little bit turn to the east, it's on track for Tampa. Otherwise,
well, man, hopefully everyone in harm's way. It's a big one too, they're saying. I just heard from Kris. He's trying to get into the app. It's giving him a hard time, and it happened the other day too. But we tried it yesterday, and we were able to pull it off.
I'm in on the link too. Did you step in?
No, it's the same link. I will. I'm going to send it again right now for good measure. So he is trying to get in, which I figured he would. Kris is awesome like that. I just hope that we can overcome this.
That is the weirdest thing, because I'm in on that link also.
You're in on the link. We tried the mobile yesterday. We verified it because I had an issue Monday with Kevin. So I don't know what the answer is. I actually went back and forth a little bit with the provider, OneStream, and just to verify that we're doing everything right. And we did. And obviously, I mean, like I said, you're here. We've used this a few times.
Yeah.
And hopefully Kris is able to get in. It sucks, I'll tell you, as a host, it sucks when your guests can't just click and go. And I know this is a newer technology. I mean, it is, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen it, and I've used it before, just a click and go.
Yep. And it's funny because back in the day when I was hosting Sackheads and we were just getting to bring somebody on video. Yeah, to bring somebody on video when we first started out, man, that was like moving a mountain. I mean, the amount of things you had to do. And I remember spending hours with guests. Like, I'm like, you can just do the phone thing. They're like, no, I'll do the video thing. Talk me through it. And I'm like, cool. You have to download this. You have to download that. You have to download this. You have to do this. If you go over here and go to this setting, and I actually had a script because I had to do it so many times to help people get in. Because it was right when it was Skype. We were using Skype at the time. You'd Skype into other people's stuff, and the technology just wasn't there. And now we're way past Skype. Everyone has their own RTMP and video and stuff like that, and it's just, oh no, you just click the link and stroll in, which is incredible when it works. When it's not working, well, here we are. So I'm hopefully. Oop, was that ding you?
I sent you a message.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me do that, actually. I forgot we have the audio choice.
Yes.
You can keep talking while I'm trying to make that happen.
Actually, I was just shutting stuff. When I'm doing all my shows, I usually have some music in the background that nobody else can hear, but I can hear. It kind of helps keep my thought going. If anybody hears dogs barking, I apologize. I think my wife just got home and the dogs are happy. The little shits they are. I don't know. Everything that's been going on this week has been really weird in the news too. Me and Sackhead were talking about it prior to the show. I'm pretty sure we might probably get into it a little bit more. The country, the way it's going right now, it's
in a bad way.
Yeah, and we got to figure out how to heal this. But as I said on my show, I don't know. I don't know if we're too far gone, that we're not going to be able to heal between the two factions.
I don't know. Like, I understand what you're saying. Oh, no, I just remembered I forgot to activate the chat. I hear what you're saying. I don't think. Oh, Kris said he's in because he's a boss like that. So we'll just give him a minute.
All right.
I don't think we're too far gone. I think that we have some amazing, and there he is. Hold on.
Hey,
It's going to bring you right into the screen. Of course you're in the gym. Where else would Kris Paronto be but in the gym?
Yeah, it's my house. Yeah. I hate this when I can't get my dang earbud in because I'm deaf.
Dude.
I'm deaf.
I'm the same way. I have one of my ear canals is oddly smaller than the other one, and I actually have to use two different size buffers in order to make it happen.
I heard that.
I'm going to put my old man glasses on because I'm old now.
There
you go. Right there. Let me see. Let's see here. I'm here. I know I may take them out because I can hear y'all. That's just so
Ladies
much
and
easier.
Gentlemen, Tanto.
How you doing, guys?
All right, buddy.
I'm done. I can't mess with those. They won't connect. Damn technology.
It's always technology, man. It kills us every single which way but loose. How you feeling, brother? I know you just had a big cut in not too long ago.
Yeah, I can get up and show you my sexy thought. I won't do that. I saw, I got a new hip. New hip? 8 weeks ago? 9 weeks ago? Completely redone arthroplasty and got a new metal freaking spike in there, heavy duty. He said so I could run eventually again, but it's just part of getting older. Y'all know that's yours, and all your other old farts out there. Y'all know how that is, man. Because go ahead.
I was going to say July 1st, I went in and I had a hip surgery too. They had to reshape my femoral head and fix my labrum.
I wish they could have done that. That's what we're hoping because the labrum tore off anterior, posterior, and lateral. And my primary care there, he said, no, he goes, Ranger, I said the VA here, they do a good job here in Missouri, in Kansas, Missouri. He goes, Ranger, your hips ate up, but I'm going to send you the orthopedic surgeon there in Galena. And I saw him, and he's the one that redid my quad when I tore that last year. And he's like, we can't save it. You either have to have a new hip or kick the can and just do medication forever. I'm like, no, just cut me. I like getting cut. It's not an option. Just go cut it. Let's cut it and get it done.
I've gotten to the point. I'm like, no more surgeries for me. I've had the neck, the knee multiple times, my wrist, and now they want to do my back. They want to put a rod in, and it's no. I'm done. I'm done surgeries.
I honestly, I love looking forward to the I love the anesthesia, dude. I can't. I actually I have a competition because I try to fight it. Like, how long can I fight this before I go out? Now we have the guys know me so well down there too. Because I get colonoscopies every 2 years because I have ulcerative colitis, and it's been a game for 20 years that I'm gonna stay awake, and I try to it's wins every time. I can't, but I was like I'm gonna try to fight it, and you'll get some new nurse in there that's like, who is this weirdo? But the doctors that know me, they're like, don't worry, it's just what he does. But I haven't been able to fight it, and then and then when the spinal block wears off, then it's a bit painful, but it just lets you know you're alive. That's all. But I'm with you, man. After this is my third major surgery, and then I'll have to get another scope next year. So yeah, I bet if I'm at 10 surgeries, I'm probably gonna be about done. But I'm not there yet. I'm only at 3, and then think scopes every 2 years, but they're just assaulting my it's just assault my anal cavity every couple of years to make sure I don't have colon cancer. That's all that is.
You remind me back in the days of my squad days, we would donate blood every now and then. Me and this one guy at the squad would have races. Who could fill the bag up the fastest?
Who could fill the bag fast? Yeah. I did that to pay for college, man. Well, grad school. That's when I donated blood. I still, and that's no joke, man. I'm like, man, I need money today. All right, let's go down to the local blood bank there in Omaha and donate blood. Give me my $20 so I can have a little cash. But man, those are some good old days. Those are good days. Those are just simple days. Mickey's and Mickey's Big Mouth and Old English. There was $2 or $1.50. I could sit on the porch there in my ghetto apartment in Omaha, Nebraska, and just watch all the freak shows go by. And I was part of the freak show, so they didn't mind me. And you could just get a little inebriated and watch the Indian head light up at the Mutual of Omaha building. But that's gone now because that's offensive. You can't have that anymore. But those are good old days, man.
You remember the old Mad Dog 2020 days?
Oh my God! No, that I can't, man. No, that's when you really wanted to. Yeah, that's when you wanted to create some crime. That's when you drink the Mad Dog, man.
That's $2 for a big, 750 liter. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you got Mad Dog because you didn't have anywhere to sleep and you wanted to end up in jail.
That's pretty much, yeah. I remember drinking it. Now, I like college days. That's what we drank, and it just, but yeah, and it didn't come up well the next. That was
no.
That was terrible. Oh man, but yeah, I did it on my death. That was when you wanted to get drunk and cheap, and then you wanted to either get into some violence, some gratuitous violence. Go drink some Mad Dog. That's pretty much what that was.
Well, and it's funny because I remember when we were in Vegas with you, Kris, you're like, hey guys, you guys want to go out? I was like, yeah, of course. I'm at the time 10 years ago now, I think it was. We were much younger.
I can't do that anymore, dude.
No. And we went out one night, and I'm usually the last one to leave with the group. I'm an old Irish kid from Boston. I can drink everyone under the table. And Clint's a lightweight. Clint was, I have a drink, and then I have water and a soda and a drink. And, and Kris and I were not messing around because who knows when you're going to wake up the next day, right? And I remember the next morning, and Kris was just, we showed up at like 8, and I felt like I got run over by a truck at some point, and you come bopping around the corner like it was nothing.
I went and ran it out that morning. That's when I could run and sweat it out. I just went and, that's what you do, man. That's Ranger Regiment. You get a morning, you go sweat it out. But I was faking it too. Don't think that it was all for real. It was like, oh crap, I feel like shit today. All right.
Well, and I don't know if you remember, but that was the morning Lieutenant Colonel Alan West came by and jumped on the air, and we were on in Philadelphia. And of course, like, I'm hungover, I'm beat, you're there. We still had like 2 more days after that. Kris stayed the whole time with us, which was amazing. He was just the coolest guy. But I was beat, and I see Alan West coming over, and I was like, and you and I had just talked on the air the day before how you were trying to meet him, and you heard he was there. And he just walked up and grabbed a mic, which is great when you're doing the interview. But I'm like,
Yeah.
man, of all days that I have Tanto, I have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, who is at the time a congressman, right? And I
Yeah.
am so hungover, I just wanted to crawl under the table and go back to sleep for a few
Well,
hours.
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of him and me is that we won't shut up. So you didn't have to say anything. We just keep talking. I like Colonel West is a good dude.
Yeah.
There are a lot of officers and politicians that I can't stand. In fact, 99% of them I can't stand. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. But Colonel West was always with us. He was always good to us from the beginning. You know, just being a good dude when nobody knew what the hell 13 hours. I mean, I didn't last long, but just a genuinely good dude. And I always like Colonel West. I still like Colonel West. And I love that he can rock the kid and play haircut. He
Isn't that
pulls it off.
amazing?
Who
I
can
wish
do that, man?
I sure as hell can't. We're talking with Tanto. Oh man! By the way, we're talking about alcohol, and I want to go through your history. And we didn't, you know
Yeah.
us, we never do a normal interview. It's not regular for us. But
Yeah.
Tanto vodka, and I just looked at my liquor shelf, and I still
Yeah.
don't have a bottle, and I'm mad at myself because out of all the things that I followed with you, I didn't realize you had started that.
Yeah.
It's been going on. Well, we've been working on it. Myself and my Ranger buddy Ben Morgan. He was First Ranger Battalion, so that's what I love doing. Is I get to do. He's like my best friend, man. We grew up together. We went to different rival high schools, so we hated each other in high school. But then we got to know each other. And he went to the Rangers first, and then that's how the recruiter pimped me. It's like, hey, this guy from Fruita Monument, he went to the Rangers. Don't be a puss. You're from, so you got to go to. Okay. But then we were at 19 Special Forces together too later, and he's extremely close. We're very close. We families are close, and but we started it. He presented it to me 5 years ago with another distillery, and it just not it was they made a great. But I'll tell you one thing, and you guys talking about alcohol, this. It doesn't matter what it tastes like. It's the marketing that really does. It's the marketing and the distribution and who gets behind it that pushes it. If not, then Smirnoff would be out of business because that's garbage. But
Garbage,
it's probably the biggest
absolutely.
vodka out there because it's everywhere. But
Right.
but we got into it, brother. Long story short, and trying to make it shorter, and didn't work out with the first distillery, and then Ben in Colorado Springs, he was right next to another distillery called Black Hat, and he's like, hey, let's try it with these guys. This was last year. And we were going to just shelve it. It was cool. It was cool that, but we never expected to make millions, nothing like that. And he went down there, and it just has kind of worked out. So really, you've only seen it probably this last 6 months because it's been on the shelf primarily for 4.5 years because we just business wise, you got to be smart business wise. We just don't want to keep throwing money down a hole. And now it's starting to come to fruition, but because of the distillery we're with, which is awesome, Black Hat Distillery. Ben is amazing. He's brilliant. He is the vodka. I'm just the ugly face. He's the business side of it. He knows his shit. And but yeah, now we're in Texas everywhere. All the stores, we're in spec stores, dang near every one of them. Of course, we're in Kansas, where I live, at Total Wine, which is Total Wine's the biggest one here in Kansas. And then we got distribution in Colorado Springs because that's where Ben's at. And then Florida. I mean, to be quite honest, we got California, Texas, and Florida. I'd like to have all the other states, but those 3 states are pretty much countries in themselves. So,
Yeah.
Granted, California is not the country I would like to be in. Texas and Florida, I would. But it's been awesome that it's starting to pick up steam, and I get to do it with my best friend and my Ranger buddy, which really is the reason I keep doing it, is because we do it together, and I can trust him, and we've been together since high school. We've been hanging out, and he's
Right.
he's a Ranger. He's from he's a Battalion, and us Bat Boys, we really do look out for each other.
Which is
do.
fantastic.
We do. We eat our own every once in a while if it's necessary, but not as much as the SEALs. Not as much as the. And I love my SEAL buddies, but man, those guys will eat each other up. They do. They tear each other up.
Well, and the same is I think with most military branches. Same with public safety, law enforcement, firefighter. My background, law enforcement. Joe's firefighter. It's one of those things that you always look out for them because you knew what they went through one way or the other, and you know what they maybe haven't gone through yet. That younger generation, especially.
Yeah.
There's those things that are coming down the line, and It's one of those things, I think, that for all of us who've been in some experience or another, it really makes a difference in how you proceed and progress in your life after the fact and sometimes during.
Oh yeah, and it's a sense of accountability. That's why I say that with a tongue in cheek with the SEALs eat their own, but that's not a bad thing. They're accountable. They hold their guys accountable, just like Rangers hold theirs accountable, just like law enforcement departments. If they're not, they should, and the ones I know they do. But it's the individual departments. You won't see a Ranger going and getting into SEAL or Marine or law enforcement's business department. They each have to hold their own accountable. They also have their own right and left limits. And that is done, and that's done effectively. And also with first responders and fire departments, you hold your own guys accountable unless there's just issues where a department or a unit is just shit. And then outsiders start to come in, but that generally doesn't happen in special operations community or in the departments that actually have accountability. And it's hard for me to say on the police side and the firefighters, like there's so many more, and they're smaller entities. So I don't have the knowledge in every department. I can't speak for all of them. All I can speak for is the spec ops community that I've been a part of for forever, and still have tons of friends within those communities that I know hold each other accountable. And I've had them on my own podcast talking about accountability of holding each other accountable. So I know it's still done. And people have held me accountable when I've strayed off the path too, believe me. I've been told to unfuck myself enough times that that I know I'm being watched just like everybody else. Like, hey, you uphold the standards, don't matter who you are. You uphold what standards they are. That Ranger Creed is there for a reason. And if you stray from that, then we're going to call you out, and we don't give a shit what your name is, Tanto. And I like that. It's how it should be. That's how everything should be. To be honest with you in life, but it's not 90% of the world today, and it's just that sucks. But maybe we can get there one of these days. I lost you.
Nope, I'm here. Joe, I thought you had a question. I was being quiet.
Oh, no, I just want I got to thank you, Tanto, because I don't know if you remember, when I started my show, I was doing pre-recorded.
Yeah.
You were my first live show, and since then,
I didn't know that, man.
You were my first live.
Oh shit! Thank you. I thought we were recorded. That means a lot to me, man. Thanks.
I talked with Sean. We thought it would be best that I do it live that night. I know it wasn't that great of an interview. We had some technical difficulties back then.
But that was fun. It was fun though. It didn't matter. I thought I had a blast.
Yeah. Oh shit! Trust me, man. I loved it. It was something that I've never experienced before, and it was really fun to do. But I never got a chance to thank you for that.
It's my honor. You don't need to thank me for anything. I'm still amazed at what we are now. Well, that was like 2016. I mean, it was a long time ago. The movie came out.
Coming out,
I think the book just came out. The book had just landed.
2015. Yeah, so it's almost been 10 years, and here I am still fielding questions and going on podcasts. I don't do the mainstream anymore. The left specific. I don't do them. And like I said, they stopped that. They're not gonna have me on anyway. Jake Packer used to, and I got along with him okay over there, but he kind of went off the rails in my opinion too. And it's just so state-run media over there on that side that I'll be quite honest, even they asked me, I wouldn't do it. But I don't even do Fox that much. I don't do Fox or Newsmax anymore. Not that I have anything against the people over there. I'm friends with a few of them still. It's just, man, it's just you can't get what you need to say on a 4-minute soundbite, man. And they're gonna push you to where you get pissed off. In the last interview I did, I threatened to choke out a former president because he called Benghazi a conspiracy, and here's the Secret Service coming to my door. But it got ratings. It got Pete Hegseth's ratings over there. And but it wasn't good for me mentally and emotionally to do those, because I would always leave the interview pissed off, angry. Because it was 4 minutes. It was 4 minutes to get. I know that's what they're producing. It's 4 minutes. Tano's going to go on the rails, get him spun up, make him say something, so we get a clickbait. And then, but the podcast, because podcast now, God bless podcast, the fruition of
so
podcast,
fun.
I'm lucky as well. Mine, even that there's long form content, so we have time to talk and explain it. If I get mad, we can come back to something that's funny. So when I get off the podcast, I'm not off the podcast angry. It just seems like we're sitting around the fire bullshitting, and then you just talk, and your emotions are all over the place, but that's okay because that's
Right.
what you're supposed to. You're just talking.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. So I'm glad the podcast came, because if not, I'd probably be doing interviews anymore. And which wouldn't be a bad thing, but it's still fun. I ain't gonna lie, it's still fun to come and talk to my buddies like yourselves, man. And
Well,
and it's so nice to go on shows and see flags everywhere. I mean, every it's nice to see.
so
that.
great. One of the things too, and I know Joe experienced this, and we certainly did. The good part about interviewing Tanto, when we first interviewed you in Vegas, and I'll tell you the story on Vegas too, because I want a little confession like Joe had. But one of the best thing to go with that we found after the first day was ask Tanto a question, and then hit the mute button and have a drink and let him go. Right?
Because he's supposed to get the fuck up.
Well, no, and it's not that too. It's just even the stuff that we were talking about that was raw when we were breaking down the actual 13 hours and the story, and the stuff where I, I don't want to push any button you don't want pushed, because this is not a high stress situation. I want you to share what you want to share, be comfortable, and I don't want you pissed off, right? So when we talked, and I think the 2-hour show that we did the first day, it was just like, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z, and let Kris go. And you did, and it never got heavy. And we talked about some heavy content, but the mood never got heavy, because I think we all kind of were like, hey, if we have to transition, we transition. It's not a big deal. But I think that's more important for getting somebody's story out than trying to press them for 4 minutes and make them angry and pissed off. And who needs that? I'd rather hear what you have, what you say, not what they want you to say, which is what they're looking for.
And I had to learn that. That's the experience, like anything else, like being a new private. When the news started coming, and like, hey, I'm learning. Nobody's going to explain it to me, or if they are, I'm not going to listen to them, because this is new and I'm just enjoying it. Not that I don't want to listen to it, it's just it's not going to go in yet. I can't absorb it. It is like being a new private to a new unit, and there's just so much coming at you. And then it's like, then you're thrown on the battlefield. I'm not equating going on the news battlefield, guys. Believe me, I hate it when I watch sports TV and they equate a football game to war. I can't stand it. So believe me, I'm not. But it's like going there and you're like, okay, what do I do? Well, just be yourself. And myself is, if you've seen 13 Hours, like I said, Pablo and I are still friends. That's how close we got and how accurate he got. But that's me. And I am one that's prone to go, all right, you hit the button, and they saw it. And I had to learn how to not go that route. And it's because I can stay calm during any sort of operations that I can stay calm as cool as a cucumber. I'll get angry until we get out the door, and then I'm good. And the world opens up, everything slows down. It's almost like the opposite effect of going in the red and going in the black and Colonel Cooper's color codes. I go the opposite direction. Like it's like things slow down, everything opens up. But I couldn't do that when I did the media interviews, because I guess I just didn't have an outlet. I guess if I could have stood up and punched to somebody that maybe ambushed me on a question, then maybe you shouldn't ask that, but I couldn't do that, so it just would get me spun up and get me going, and then at the end of the interview it was, man, I'm freaking angry, and it didn't put me in a good spot, which 3-4 years later after our interview is where I tried to take my own life, and I stopped doing the interviews. It took to that point to figure it out, like, okay, this is not good for me. I don't give a shit how many followers I have on this X, Y, and Z. The media, who knows me, I'm miserable. I was completely, come 2017, that was about, almost 3 years after doing the first interview with y'all, my life had just went into the toilet. And you would think it wouldn't, because, I had Twitter, and I had 100, 200 something, who knows? I had hundreds of thousands of followers on all these websites. I was making some money. I was on TV, did even that cool sunglass commercial on ESPN at night. I was the most miserable I had ever been in my life. And a lot of it came down to just being too much of wanting to be a public figure, which is what a lot of people strive for nowadays. And I don't get that. I don't understand that at all. Maybe it's because of my bad experience with that. Maybe I'm not made for that. But that's why we're here now, though, is being able to get through it, and my life got back on track.
I was going to say, I'm thankful to hear that. I'm thankful because I know, and I followed you, and it's hard because I really wanted to reach out because I still have your phone number, or I did. I wanted to reach out, but it's also like, it's one of those things where you don't know how that's going to help or hurt, right? And I don't want to hurt.
You're right. No, you're exactly right. You're right.
And
Too much. I don't want people saying, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because it makes me feel weak. Just say,
right.
"I'm here." That's all I need, man. And like the good friend, like Ben, like Matty Waters, who lost it. Iraq lost his leg in Iraq because he tried to scissor kick an RPG. Love that guy. But those guys, he was the team leader when I was a private tab spec. They know me. They've known me, and they're like, "Dude, you need anything? You're good." Okay, that's all. But I don't need that. Are you going to be all right? Are you going to be all right? Are you going to be all right?
Right.
And I think a lot of veterans, you guys, and you guys understand this. The constant coddling that we get. First of all, I think it makes us weaker. I do, because then we want it. We got to feel that nurturing. But it also it makes you feel humiliated. She's like, "What do I look like? I can't handle it." But if somebody just says, "I'm here if you need me," and leaves it at that, all right, then I'll get through it. And if I got a lifeline, I'm not going to grab it unless I need it. And that's what helped me more than anything. So thank you for not reaching out, because I'll be quite honest. It probably would have pissed me off, dude, at that time. I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah, and that's the last thing that any of us want. And I'm glad you're in a much better place. I battled depression on a different level a couple years ago, and it's one of those things where, like you said, you don't want the sympathy. You just want to know, like, hey, if I pick up that phone, will you answer?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's all I really need. Hey, let's go grab a beer. Let's hang out and talk. I don't want to talk about anything serious. Just get me out of here, get me out of this, and let me bullshit, talk about the good old days, whatever. And that's all I need. I don't need somebody to, like you said, I don't need someone to pat me on the back and tell me I'm going to be okay. Because I'm sure with your mindset, for me, it's like, I'm going to be okay after I get there. I got to find a way to get there.
Just got to find a way to do it.
Yep. So I'm glad you're on the other side, Joe.
It just kind of like back in the EMS days, and I hate constantly going back there, but that's my time.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's a huge impact on your life, bro. You should go back to those days.
But I had one guy, my best friend. We rode EMS together a lot. We had a bad night, even if we weren't working. We'd call each other up. Yeah, let's go to the bar. And you just sit there and have a couple drinks, bullshit, and not talk about any problems, but just basically be there for each other and just unwind. We usually end up beating the shit out of each other by the end of the night. That's how we dealt with it. Get drunk.
You gotta stay away from the Mad Dog 2020 when you're going out, dude. You can't drink that stuff. That's what's good. That's good. With me now at a point, and a lot of it was family. I had divorced from my wife when all that was going on, and I just got through the divorce right before I met you all. And it was one of those things too where I thought I could do it on my own, and I needed my family around. And it took me 3-4 years, took me a lot of prayer, and finally took in God kicking me in my ass and my legs out from under me and saying, "Hey, you proud son of a bitch, you can't do this on your own." And for me to actually answer that and say, you're right. I think a lot of veterans can't do that, or a lot of first responders, those that have seen trauma, and they don't even have to be a veteran or first responder, just traumatic events. They can't just step back and get knocked down and then say, "You know what, I need to fix something here." And luckily for me, after about getting knocked down for the 4th or 5th time over those span of those 3-4 years, so when I finally, God, you got to guide me. And we reconciled. Actually, got back with my wife, got back with the kids, and we have been married since we remarried and have been back together since my attempt to try to take my own life with the Glock 19, man. So we need those lifelines. And I guess what I'm getting at, but when it comes right down to it, it's up to the individual. And I tell other people, it's got to be up to the individual. You can do all you want, but if he or she is not willing to fix their own selves and to get themselves right, I don't care how much you give them positively, it's not going to happen. And I was getting a lot of positives towards me, but it was finally up to me again. Like, I got the tough love from my buddy Ben Morgan that does the Tanto Vodka with me. I still remember him saying, it was the week before, after I told him what was going on and how my life was going, and he was seeing it because he was still around me quite often because we were teaching tactics for my company, Battleline Tactical. He runs it with me. when he said you need to unfuck yourself is what really the light bulb kicked on. It took that comment, not the, hey man, I'm gonna be here for you. It was, dude, you're fucked up. You need to get your shit together. You need to and he said just that. You need to unfuck yourself. And that's what actually jogged me on the right path. And then getting on my knees. I mean, literally, not figuratively, literally getting on my knees and praying and saying, God, I don't know what to do. I need your help. I need you to carry me. I can't get through this on my own without you. And something, it's just amazing how that works. Life just turned around slowly, but it started to veer, and now I'm back. Now it's back 110%. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing an interview with you guys, because that's when I shut everything down. I stopped doing interviews and I shut all my social media down. Well, I got kicked off of Twitter. So that wasn't shut down. I got Jack decided to boot me off. I had a couple 100,000 followers. I was rocking on that thing, and he's like, "No, you're too much of an asshole. And we got to kick you off." And I got booted. But luckily, they let me back off for a little bit. We'll see how long this lasts, though. I've already been suspended once. So
at least we have Elon now, so hopefully it's a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear you well. If I was going to put my money on anyone to turn around, it was the guy who was trying to fight the holy war in a pair of shorts. So it's
real quick, Sean. One thing I want to throw in there: you're not the only one that had to take a break. I mean, both me and Sean, we stepped away for several years. My health kind of took a crap, and we're just now getting back into it. Like within the last month or so, we're getting back into it and starting to, getting that feel for it and wanting to do this. But we both had to take a break because the stress of constantly dealing with this shit.
You're right.
For a while.
It's tough. I realized how tough it is to host a podcast. There are times where I talked to Vincent Speranza, who was a Battle of the Bulge survivor. He passed away, but we're the last guys to interview him, and I'll be honest, coming out of there, I was like, man, I'm kind of spent. I was tired. It's like, that was a hell of a story. Talking to the last Vietnam veteran, we had Rob's a buddy, and Rob would have Rob on and coming in, him not even shooting the shit, but then remembering some stories from Iraq. You don't realize being an interviewer how much sometimes it'll jog a memory that you have, some trauma, or even something emotional, fun, bad, good. And I do come out of some of those interviews that we do, and we don't do long ones, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, and especially those that with veterans that have either been Vietnam veterans. Speranza was awesome, Battle of the Bulge, I love, or the GWAT vets, or coming out from police officer went through a bad shoot. We've had God, I wish I remember his name. He was a bad shoot in Miami. Not a bad shoot. He had to take somebody's life. But coming out of there, I was like, man, I don't feel good. I don't feel
You're
good.
exhausted.
So I believe me, guys. I get it. So I'm glad you guys have, you realized that though when you took a break, because that's the first step, is realizing that, hey man, we need to step away for a little bit. Because
I'm sure
I'm glad you did.
Being proud is almost sometimes the worst enemy in the world, right? Because you keep grinding so much longer than you really want to. You have that just because you feel that dedication to the people that you're doing it with and for, and it's hard to put yourself first when you're trying to make sure that the team's taken care of. Because I know I felt an obligation to, and all the guys that I do it with were public safety, law enforcement. We had some military guys with my background, I felt that obligation, and it just ran me into the ground. But here we are. We're all in a much better place now, and we're all doing well. You have a vodka that I need to try, and I'm glad it's in California, so I know it's on my shopping list this week. Being in California, I know I can go out and find it somewhere. What else is Kris Paronto up to, the man they call Tanto?
Besides being my son's waiting for me. He gets home from school, then I let him kick my ass at Smash Brothers for a little bit. So he's waiting on me, man. But just really, father, I haven't been able to be a father ever. To be quite honest with you. So that's priority first, and I enjoy it. I love being just home now. I still do some speaking. I work with a speaking bureau called Kepler Speakers Bureau out of DC, big speakers bureau, but they've always taken really good care of me. But, back in the 2015 time when I was doing 60, 70 events a year, I don't. There's just no way mentally I can do that. So I'll do 9 or 10 a year, and they're fun. They do help. Now that I've found a happy medium, it's very cathartic, very therapeutic, corporate speaking. So they're always fun, man. Always with good people. I just spoke for an insurance, Special Investigative Insurance Association in Nashville. At the Gaylord at the Opryland. So I mean, they're always at someplace nice too. So I moved up to where if I'm going to do it, I'm always getting taken care of. It's like a paid vacation. It's wonderful, but they're wonderful people, and I'm glad the story resonated with them. Definitely.
So you're saying you got bougie?
A little bit, yeah. I do. Not that I have to have a king size room everywhere I go, but I like to have everything right there in my gym. I can go get some food.
Good for you.
And
good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah, but my Battleline, my training company that Boone and I started back in 2015, 16. Boone is no longer part of it. He does his own thing in Florida. Still a tremendous instructor. If you're in Florida, go learn with him. But Battleline is still rolling. We still have, in fact, I put more effort into and more time into that now because I don't speak as much, and it keeps me at home because I have a range here in Kansas at Fort Scott. And so like this weekend, I have a course coming up. We got 24 people coming in. I love that I don't have to do the mobile training team where I can just be home, go teach. People are willing to come here, which is awesome because we're off the beaten path. We're 2 hours from everywhere. We're a geographical oddity. We're 2 hours from everywhere, man. But people are still willing to come here and learn. And it's a lot of the people that come from the cities that come here and learn, they love it because we're still Americana out here. I mean, we're two street lights, you can still hear the cows mooing at night and the coyotes howling and you don't have to hear traffic and sirens 24/7. It's wonderful.
Paradise.
It's kind of an escape for people. It is. And it is paradise for me being in the Ozarks, man. It's wonderful, but that is what we're doing more of an, I've been an instructor for 20 years. People think, oh, I got a lot of the shit when we first started, me and Boone, because Boone's been an instructor for about the same. Oh, you guys, the movie came out, now you think you can teach everybody. Well, no, we actually were lead instructors at Blackwater for many years, starting in the early 2000s. But, it is what it is. It's the nature of the internet. That's how social media is a big deal. But it's wonderful I can get back to there because that's where I really, aside from deploying, that's the bread and butter. That's what I've been doing forever. And my body can't handle the deploying anymore, but because of the beat down and the surgeries. But that's what I do primarily, and it's Battleline Tactical. And we do courses out here. We do VIP courses. People come in, corporations will bring their people in. Those are fun. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, and I'm fun. I'm not the road guard vest, NRA with the whistle blowing it and getting the range Nazi. That's not me, man. I mean, we're going to be safe but I'm going to teach you too. I want you to learn tactics. And I tell people out here, if it's that class, if it's not a basic class, an intro class, I'm a Kansas concealed carry instructor, so I get you certified if you want to go through that. But I tell people when they come through some of the tactical stuff, it's like, guys, I'm teaching you like I want to go down range with you. Not that I'm saying we're going to go get in a gunfight, but I want to be able that when we walk out of here, I'm comfortable that if I need to go clear a room, I can grab you. So that's how we're going to learn. So you're going to do stuff out here that may not be kosher on NRA ranges, man.
Right.
But they're going to be
But
safe.
It's real life.
That's what it is. And that's how I've always taught. That's how I taught at Blackwater. That's what I taught when we were, Range Battalion. When you're in the military, you're always an instructor. Once you become a team leader, you're an instructor, period. But it's that sort of training. I think that's why people gravitate towards it, and why also I do get some of the shit on social media is because I'm willing to do that. And I know we're gonna be safe at it, and I know we can get out there, and you're gonna do stuff that you may not do at other ranges, and because the ranges is mine, and it's Fort Scott Munitions and Battleline Tactical, we can do whatever we want. So you're going to get out and have some fun, and I'm going to get you out your comfort zone, not physically, just out your comfort zone, because guess what? You may be beyond the line shooting every once in a while, but don't worry, you're going to be safe. I got you, but that's real.
anyone who's ever taken any sort of advanced, any training really, it doesn't even have to be firearms. You want, if you go into a class and your instructor is as excited as you are to be there +5, where they're like, no, this is going to be a blast. You're going to have fun. I guarantee you, when you walk out the door, you're going to be better and you're going to enjoy this. I've
Yeah.
never had a bad class going into that, either dynamic firearms, close quarter combat, ground training, whatever. When your instructor's like, yeah, let's friggin' do this and have a good day doing it, you're like, all right, let's do it, right? That makes a huge difference.
It does. That's why everybody loves TCCC classes, because those medics that teach that, they're always getting, because it's just great for them. They love it. And you are getting out of your comfort zone, not physically. I mean, there are some where you can get your breath up and we can add stuff to it where you can get some endurance, but I would watch, because I can't teach. I'm not going to ever teach TCCC. I'm not an EMTP, help me out. What's the EMTB or EMTA?
I don't know if A's around. I know it's B, intermediate, and then paramedic.
Paramedic. So EMTP. But I will have people that come in and teach it. And I would honestly, and even at Blackwater, we had tons of them. I would stand and watch them to teach, just to learn how to be a better firearms and task instructor, because of the excitement they brought to it, because of the fun and the joke. And then I've always had that personality anyway. Like I said, if you watch 13 hours, that's fucking me. That is me. That's how I am.
And meeting you is so much more over the top than the movie is. It's incredible. And it's really funny, because I told this story on Twitter not too long ago. I don't even know if you saw it or not, but I kind of recounted when we were in Vegas together, because we spent 3.5 days together, and before I tell you this story, when we were when we emailed you for that interview, we had no idea what we were doing or inviting you to, because we'd never done a remote before. So we kind of bullshitted our whole way there. We bullshitted our way into that convention. We just walked the walk and talked the talk. So when Joe got us your contact, and I said, you know what, we're going. I'm going to invite Tanto and see what he says, like just on a whim. And then when we got the email back, we were like, yeah, we'll be there. We'll bring some. I was like, cool. And I remember my Clint at the time and I kind of looked at each other. We're like, oh shit, now what? Right now we got to actually make this happen. Right? We have a goal. We got to actually follow through. But one of the things that I thought was amazing about you is you talk to anybody, which, you did it with a smile every single time, because you had all these people coming up asking you about what happened in Benghazi, asking you your story.
And that time it was real busy. I mean, it was more so than it is now. But
right. But we had a line at one point, and we were going. It was the third day, and I'll remember this. I told this story, and I'll tell the story a million times, because it's who I think you are. You had a line all day for 3 days in a row. And near the end of the last day we were there was this older woman who had waited to see you. And she had to be, late side of 70s. And she started asking you questions. And you said to her, do you want to sit down? And she was like,
I felt bad.
yeah.
I think I just said
Tanto runs and grabs a chair. Yeah, I'm doing an interview on the air. I was recording an interview, and I look over and I see Tanto run off to grab a chair, and I didn't know it was a chair at the time. But I'm like, where the hell's he going? Because you were hot stepping. And then a couple more minutes later, because we had the little cooler with water and drinks behind you go, do you want a drink, ma'am? She was like, yeah, I'd like. And up he goes, and I remember saying afterwards, I'm like, that's who that dude is, and that's who the dude we've spent the last 3 days with. You were like that with everybody. No matter what you've been through and the struggles, and especially at that time, like you said, you were dealing with some real shit behind the scenes at that time.
Yeah.
And you were that cool the entire time. It really, obviously, I respect you for what you did with Benghazi and in the military and all that other stuff. But that was one of those times where I looked at you, I'm like, he's just a good dude. Like, there's no way around it. Look at how he treats people. And that's something I think, like, I wanted everyone to know about you, because I think that's incredible about you.
That's just good parenting, bud. That's all that is. That's just being raised by a good, my mom's Mexican, and she was a straight up disciplinarian Mexican woman, Latina, and my dad's from West Texas, and old school West Texas. It's sir, man, sir, yes, ma'am. Hold the door open, be chivalrous, and respect your elders. So I appreciate that. I wish I could take credit for that being on my own. That's just habitual training right there from my parents. And in the military, definitely, at least back then, I don't know if it does anymore. Gosh, I hope it does, but they did still teach you respect, and the military definitely still taught you taught you chivalry. It did. Yeah, I remember that. I did. I felt like crap. Like, holy crap, this lady's been here forever, and that's continued on. People. So when I do book signings or when I do those talks, those corporate talks, I'm not. They're like, "Are you going to hang around?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm here for y'all. I mean, you guys are paying me to be here. First of all, I can't believe I'm still getting paid to be here to do this, but I'm here for y'all, man." And he's like, "Well, 90%." I'm like, "That's just odd because most speakers just want to get out of here." Like, no, I'm here, man. And if you want books, I'll stay in signs for 4 or 5 hours because people come sometimes from miles. I mean, they travel for miles to meet, which is still odd to me, to meet my dumb ass. I don't get it. I still, but it's like, man, I can at least take 5 to 10, 5 minutes. I know the line is people are gonna have to wait, but if this person, someone drove or flew hundreds of miles here, I can take 5 minutes with them. I mean, come on.
Right.
And that is something I was raised just to be a good person for my mother and my father and my grandmother and grandfather who man, that's why I got no tolerance for illegal immigration, because I wouldn't be here if we didn't have immigration. But we were taught correctly and how to act and how to treat people. And it wasn't based off of and there was no excuse that, oh, I'm a minority, I should be held to a different standard. It's, no, we're in America. We are good people. We are the Garcias. We are the Parontos, and this is how we're going to treat people. So it's just, I appreciate you saying that, but I can't take credit for that. The credit goes to my abuelo and my abuela and my mom and my dad, man. But I remember that. And I still, hopefully I still do that. I believe I do, but if I haven't, somebody send a text that we have that number and say, Kris, you're an asshole, and we'll talk about that. And I'll try to remember when that was. I appreciate you saying that, and I think but that's just how everybody should be. Everybody should be that way. That's just how you should live your life.
Nobody's saying that you were an asshole. I will ask the first text. I did get a couple, and the first one's, what's your favorite meal? Plain and simple, easy going.
Oh, easy, man. Don't get me wrong, man. I like my freaking Latino heritage. I like enchiladas and burritos, and that ain't stereotypes, shitheads, and that's not racist. That's the damn truth. We like spicy food, but I really do, especially being here in Kansas. We have real butcher shops here. It's not just going to the grocery store. Actual butcher shops still in Kansas. Small town Kansas, I can go get my steak cut exactly how I want, and it's it's locally sourced cattle here. Casey strip and a baked potato, man. Just on the grill. Casey strip, medium rare, baked potato with a little Lawry's, and that is my favorite. That's my go-to every day. The only reason we don't eat it every day is because my kids get tired of eating, except for my little guy. They like, Dad, steak again. My wife gets tired of it too, but man, I just love it. I just love going out on the grill, and in the wintertime too. Going out on the grill, grilling up the Casey strip that's cut lean, and a baked potato with some salt, pepper, and some Lawry's, and I'm good, man. And a coffee. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna have coffee no matter what. Yeah. And it's Joe. Did you have something?
Amazingly, up in New Jersey, there is a butcher I found, and he could tell you everything about that cow, what it ate, its lifestyle, and it was some of the best steak I ever had. And since I moved to Florida, down here in the Tampa area, I have not been able to find a butcher like that.
You can't, man, and they're just like everything else in this world. They're a dying breed because all the big stores are putting them out of business, and it's awful. The thing that's funny too is I've been to $200 steak places, place steak, and it's still not as even close comes to just grass-fed or even corn-fed beef that's locally sourced from your butcher shop. It's not even close.
I wish I could afford it. I got the Hard Rock Casino right near my house, and they have a steak restaurant there. I mean, they spent over like $1 million in pink rock salt.
Man, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I don't go eat. No, I rarely eat out. But I did in Louisville recently at one of the supposed to be world-renowned steak place, and I ate it. It was good, but man,
mine's better.
On the grill.
Yeah.
Mine are just on the grill, man.
My wife, we tried it on Saturdays. We'd go out, but what we look for is the mom and pop restaurants. We try to stay away from the franchises and all that. We want to, get that home cooking that chef will give you in a small restaurant.
Do you have the Tampa still? I mean, are the Florida? I mean, I love Florida. Florida's still the one state done it right since the bullshit COVID lockdowns, man. But do you have it? I mean, even Florida's getting huge. Are they disappearing?
They're still around. There's a good Colombian restaurant just around the corner from my house. And I'm not a barbecue guy. I'll admit it. I'm a fat guy, but I'm not a barbecue guy. And we went to this one out in Plant City.
I will be holding that against you.
What?
You're not a barbecue guy.
But
you are a fat guy.
My bad. I'm such a rat bastard, aren't I? Damn, you're shaming him because of his weight. Oh, you're such an asshole. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I went the other direction. My bad.
I'm lost. Because I called myself fat. Oh, man. The one thing I taught my daughter is if you can make fun of yourself and laugh at yourself, there's nothing anybody can do to you.
That's self-deprecating humor is a damn good skill to have, man.
And besides, I'm in shape. Hair is a shape.
Yep, hair is, in fact, a shape.
Well, you're right on the mom and pop stores. They're still the best. So we still have plenty of them around here, too. They're just local. They're the best restaurants you can find. But I just like in my house. I like just grilling right here.
Yeah, I got to change the subject a little bit because I don't know if I told you the story. And I don't know if this would be the right wording for it, and I hope I don't want to piss anybody off. One small good thing that may come from Benghazi with what happened. It woke up citizens in this country. Like my father, Coastie, back in the 60s, he thought to stay out of politics. Let the government do what the government does. But when they abandoned you, that pissed my dad off. And I've never seen my dad get pissed like that before. But that got him where he started paying attention to what's going on in the government, what's going on in these politicians, and he got more involved. So that's one small thing. I hope you understand.
I think it's a Pandora's box, kind of. I mean, that is the positive side of I don't know, Pandora's box is negative regardless, but that's the positive side. The negative side of it, and this is what I've seen over the years, just watching, it didn't hold any politician accountable. Held nobody accountable.
Right.
So the problem and this is where Benghazi, people say, if you could do it all over again, would you talk? There's a part of me that was no. And the reason, not because I didn't want to get the truth out, not because it wasn't egregious what they did, it was murder. I mean, they should have been tried for homicide or manslaughter, at least. Obama, Hillary, Patrick Kennedy, Valerie Jarrett, all of them. Charlene Lamb, James Sullivan, there's another one who lied. He's in the, but what it did, and we're seeing this now, is that politicians can go lie. They can lie to us on the TV. You just saw the debate. They can go lie to newsmakers on TV, and nothing happens to them. And if I told this to Trey Gowdy after this was my third testimony. I did one for Mike Rogers, which was a joke. I don't care if he's Republican. That dude's a turd. It's a joke. And then we did another one that was closed door, that was smaller, like with Elijah Cummings and Trey, that was smaller. I think it was like the pre-Benghazi Select Committee before Trey started. Then we did the big one with Trey, and which was him. It was him, Adam Schiff, Elijah Cummings, Duckworth. Who's the Republicans? I've given you all Democrats. So Trey was there, and there was Kennedy from New York. Republican there. But I remember after we were done, I told him, and I took him aside. Trey was the one guy that actually, the only one I felt we could trust. And honestly, I still feel that way. I wish he would have actually came after somebody else, made accountable. But I did say to him, I said, sir, if you don't throw one of these people in jail, it doesn't have to be the big ones. It can be one of their underlings. If you don't hold somebody accountable and they go to prison, this is going to spiral, and you're never going to be able to hold politicians accountable again. And I'm not saying I'm Gandalf the future seer, and I'm not trying to give me kudos. I remember standing there in the basement of the Capitol building, talking to him and saying just that, because that's how I felt. It's like, this is it. This is where you can stop it, or this is where it's going to go out of control, and nobody's held accountable.
But what do we say? Conservatives? Oh, we're going to hold an investigation. Great, you hold an investigation.
Who gives a shit if there's an investigation if you don't do anything about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're holding investigation. They do something.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I think I really do feel. I think that's why Trey left politics and went to the media, because he realized at that time that he couldn't do anything. He couldn't sentence people to prison, even though they should have been. He couldn't bring anybody up on charges, even though they should have been. And again, here are we now, where it's just lie after lie after lie. People know about it. Nothing happens.
Yep.
Nothing happens, and it will continue to get worse. And until not because of a political ideology, but somebody actually lies and Americans die, they go to jail. Well, that will stop. Believe me, politicians are the biggest wussies in the world. They are.
100%.
They are scared. Take their money away, take their power away, put them in prison, and put them in prison will do those three things. They will all stop. They will all end. It will end.
Well, and you look at where we are. We just had the sitting presidential candidate say that we had absolutely no American troops are in harm's way at this time. They're not in the war zone, right? And not even including operators, special operators. We know that you guys were always in, and you never knew about it. I mean, they were in Syria, and Trump never knew about it. And then when they ordered him to leave, they didn't take them out. They said they ignored it, which people forget that happened. He said, "I want them out of Syria." And then you had the Wagner incursion where they try to attack the Delta guys, right? So we have these people, and I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about the regular enlisted personnel that are assigned to war zones. And they're in Iraq. They're still in Syria. We have them in Jordan. We have them all over the place. And for her,
and then we got support people in Ukraine. Don't think that we don't.
Oh no,
ready to say
I was
that.
going to say we have advisors.
Then
We
Israel
know
too. I mean, well, who built
advisors.
that fucked up pier? As I say, who built the fucked up pier in Israel where people got? It wasn't the Israelis. The Americans are there in that comment.
Yeah.
No, I posted. I saw that and I did something real quick. That's me on Twitter. I just like to stir the shit. I see something and like boom. And I remember posting. I saw that where she said it, and like, okay, this is just too damn easy. All right, here we go. And I hit all those points there exactly like that. But what are you gonna do? Nothing. Nobody called her out on it except for people like you, me, and those that. Well, maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Maybe that's just how it's
CNN
supposed
called her out. CNN has called her campaign.
After the fact. That's
but they
right.
did.
Well, that's better than nothing. I'm gonna say it's better late than never. I didn't know that. So
her whole campaign is nothing but lies. I was like, wait a minute. You have to lose something big if you got CNN going after your ass.
But has she stopped? No. That's what it's gonna. And there's still the ones that are. There's still the ABCs. There's still the Washington Post. There's still the NPRs. There's still the MSNBCs. There's still people at CNN that will cover. And I'm glad I'm glad Elon took over X, because if he hadn't, there would be no way to call these things out ever. Because the other one, Meta's well, I mean, come on, Zucker just came out and admitted that they're left side. I mean, I'm glad he did it. It's out there, but is anything out there? What's that?
He says he's libertarian now.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's battles. Battles are won on the battlefield, and sometimes they're quick, but wars sometimes they take time. And if it's going that route, that's how we ended up with leftists and liberalism. Is it was just a slow drip and attrition battle, little, and now boom, 20 years later, here we are. Well, then that's kind of unconventional warfare, man. That's just how it has to go, and it's better that I'm glad he's there. I mean, that's good. He's libertarian.
I think it's more a persona he's putting up, because there's still just as much censorship on Facebook as there ever was.
And that's where one of those things as a good boss. What do? You go clean house, and I mean, if I was in charge of Meta, yeah, but my ideology is a lot different than the majority of their ideology. So when I go in their class, I go drop a nuclear bomb on it. Boom, your guys die.
You want to do?
Yeah, but
that's exactly what Elon did.
But that's why it's got to take little victories like that, and little victories on the socialist side of the house is why we're here now, because they've been having little victories for 20 some years. Nobody being held accountable. What happened to us was a little victory. Yeah, it doesn't seem like much at the time, but look at it now.
Right.
I mean, it's been 12 years later. So these little victories are not bad things. We can roll our eyes to, well, this libertarian, is he just doing it? I don't care if he went out and said it. That's a little victory. Let's take it. Let's continue to utilize it. Yeah, continue.
Well, and when you look
So,
at liberals, you have to go back to the Woodrow Wilson administration, right? He was the first real progressive president. The 6 Minute Men, he had propaganda in every movie theater. It took 6 minutes to change the old silent movie reels. And what they would do is they would have these people come in and talk about how great government is. And I know he had his stroke and his wife took over, but Bernays, who was the propaganda person that worked for Wilson, who is actually who Joseph Goebbels studied for his propaganda and used all of his tactics in World War II. They had a 100-year plan, and that was a Bernays thing, a 100-year plan for progressive liberalism. And if you flash forward, we're right in the middle of that 100-year plan where it's at its absolute, they have as much control as they can possibly get.
And they're willing to wait it out.
Yeah.
You can, all you liberalists out there can condemn if you want. You're like the Taliban, guys. You'll wait it out. You'll wait it out, and we'll continue either to give in a little bit here, or I think what we're doing now, and I am seeing a positive change. I'm seeing a positive change just by somebody that's not a left winger owning a social media company that has some pull. That we're starting to combat this, and it's coming back the other way. And we do have some help. High prices of things, inflation does help show people that maybe those ideologies that they believed in aren't working. But it is one of those things where I think as conservatives, and guys, I'm not affiliated with either party, but I lean more conservative than I do anybody else, of course.
Yeah.
But I do.
Or as I like to call it, American.
I'm American. That's what I thought. I did a post on that a while back when I first got back on X or Twitter. But what I'm saying is that conservatives always look for that knockout blow. It's always that, man, we got him. Hey, we got Hillary. Stop that. Let's be the Jeter Yankees and play some small ball. Let's just take the little because that's what's going to start changing, and it's going to start moving back in that direction of God, country, family. Man, it is.
Yeah.
And that's again another thing positive with Benghazi. It got people off the bench to get back in it. But what the negative on Benghazi again is that people wanted that knockout blow.
Yeah.
Even I did it, where if we would have just played small ball, which is we are doing now, and Sarah Adams, who runs Ask Our Media Group with Boone, who's put out so much information that I didn't even know about. She was our CIA targeter that night in Benghazi, in Libya.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. There's so much stuff she knows, and she'd be a good guest to get on your show. But just those little victories are starting to come back around. So it's like we put ourselves in a hole. Now we got to dig our way out of it, and it's not going to be a big, huge post-hole dig. They're going to come out with a backhoe and pull us out. We're just going to have to claw and climb out. And Zuckerberg as a libertarian, or people starting to realize that, hey, starting to realize that the media is lying to us all the time and coming out of their shells. Those are small victories that we're okay. Let's just utilize them to continue to move forward and not roll our eyes at those little small victories. And then you always have guys like me that aren't afraid to be that asshole on social media and not worry about getting kicked off or getting called out by some I don't know, some cake boy that
who cares?
So,
I say it all the time. I laugh when people throw that at you. It's just, well, if I caught you, all right, where do you want to meet? And then you never hear back from them again. And I'm like, dude, I'm old, everything's sore, whatever. If you're gonna call me up, I'll still show up. I know you ain't gonna. I'm just gonna sit at whatever bar I tell you to meet me at and have a beer inside and wait for you. I do have a question for you from looks like Paula Courtney over on YouTube. She asked, and this is actually a good one. What would you have to say to a 15-year-old boy that needs advice from a guy in modern America right now?
Oh, the same thing that I was taught with my kid. With my mom and dad. Again, chivalry. Teach them chivalry. If a woman doesn't want it, then she'll tell you. If she doesn't want the door held open, but that is good. Teach respect. Sir and ma'ams. What's that movie? Old Country for No Country for Old Men.
For Old Men. Yep.
when certain man go, the rest are sure to follow.
Yeah.
Certain man, keep saying it. Say it. You know, have that respect for your mom and dad. Being able as a teenager, or you may not have to say you love your mom and dad, but accepting when they say it to them. And I've learned that with my teenagers. They may not say it back to me, but I need to say it, and they want to hear it. So if he doesn't say it back, it's okay. He still wants to hear it.
It's still there. And believe me, I have a 14-year-old boy. I know. I know exactly how it is.
And that helps them be a good young man. It doesn't create weakness or anything. Love's why we fought. Love's why I kept going over there. Love's why I kept working and deploying, is because I love the guys I was worked with. So love doesn't make men weak. It makes them extremely strong. And that's what John 15:13 is. That's what that verse behind me is. So, teaching God, the Bible, have faith. He doesn't. I get it. I hate going to church. I hated going to church when I was a kid. I didn't. But bring God in his life, and he will find it. That's one thing I always do. Don't force faith in God on your teenager. Have them there, but they've got to find it in their own way. It's got to be in their path. I had to find it on my path, and I had to make mistakes along the way. But God is extremely important in a young man's life. And then if the father, if she didn't say, but if she's married and the father's there, then the father's got to have that important, be around, be a father, be there with their child, and be there when they need something, and ask if they want to go play catch, even though probably not going to tell you, probably going to tell you no, but ask, and be that father of the 70s and 80s that we grew up with, that would, go out and play catch with them. Or like my son here, that's 9. He wants to spend time playing DS, and I suck at DS. I can't play DS, but I'm spending time with my son, and it's okay to be a man. It's okay to stand up for yourself every once in a while. Be humble, be kind, but don't mistake that kindness for weakness. If you need to stand up for yourself, then stand up for yourself. I'm not saying go get in a fight. I'm not saying, and believe me, weapons, keep away from those things. You don't need to be in any of those things unless you're going out with your father, like my son does, and we go out and shoot together. It's an activity that we do together. But do be strong, but also be strong enough that you can walk away. And I've walked away from more fights than I've ever been in, and that's just because it's just something like this is stupid. I don't need to fight right now. Getting punched in the face hurts. Yeah, so let's move away.
Every time it hurts. Every time it never not hurts. I don't care what anyone says. Getting punched in the face never not hurts.
And then always be, if he's got brothers and sisters, you protect each other. I always tell my kids that. You look out for each other. When you're in school, you watch it. You have each other's back. And they look in. I get it, Mom. Every one of my kids rolls their eyes. My daughters. I know, Dad. I know. Now you watch over your little brother. My daughter's bad. She'll whoop somebody's butt. But I get it. She's hearing it. I may not be getting the response that I'm looking for, but I know she's hearing it. And obviously, when I'm not watching, she's the greatest sister. When she thinks I'm not watching, she's taking care of them. And my oldest son did the same for her. But it was never when I was watching. It was always when I'm not watching. So family, how important family and protecting each other is, and standing up for each other. And that's important.
It's funny. You brought up the father of the 80s, and I always wondered when I was a kid why my father dragged me everywhere with him. And you'd be in these places you never wanted to be. His friends would be there or whatever. Or, he'd be working on somebody's car, and I couldn't help because I wasn't allowed. There was 4 other guys. I was just the gopher, right? And you wonder, why did he even bring me along? And now that I have kids, I'm like, oh, now I know why he brought me along. I get it. I totally get it.
Because we wanted to, same with my dad. He wanted me just to be
and he
around,
never admitted it.
Yeah, and that was that generation that they weren't going to get. And this we do, and I do say that. I want you around. And the reason I say it is because my dad passed 2 years ago, and I do wish my dad would have said it. I knew what he was saying, but I wish he would have said it a few times where he didn't, where now I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you. And it makes, I also like saying it because it makes my kids uncomfortable when I do it. It's a win-win because I want you around. Dad, come on, you're weird, Dad. No, but as the boy, just let him grow. And athletics or any sort of thing, athletics still does shape you. I really, at least in high school, I played college football. I played high school football all the way through college. So I paid for college, And athletics definitely, even with all the crap going on where your college kids get paid and you can transfer and all this, at least in the high school ranks, it still definitely gives you accountability. It gives you toughness, mental toughness. And if it's not that, then something, the band, the chess club, anything, just something where it's a team environment so you can be around other people and associate with them and learn how to succeed and fail together. And I wish more kids would still do that. At least around here they are. I mean, I don't know if they are back east or in Florida. I'm sure they are. I mean, shit, still some of the best high school teams in the nation are in Florida.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
my daughter was never really into all that. The only club she went to was D&D.
Was what? Oh, D&D?
Yeah, that's.
No, I mean I grew up playing D&D too. I mean that's the same thing to me. That's like chess. You're together. And that's as a 15-year-old, just whatever he likes to do, encourage that. And that's what we've been telling our kids, and that's been doctrine, in my opinion, forever. Whatever they encourage it. And I had a coming to Jesus with my 16-year-old boy when I was gone all the time, and that was uncomfortable. And I don't know if she's going to have that because I was deployed for the majority of his life, so we really had to get to know each other again. But that was humbling to me. So my son brought something that really hurt me. He said, "Dad, here I'll give you the story. It was an example, quick story. My younger boy was around a lot, so he got treated. I'll be honest. He was, I wasn't as hard nosed, and I wasn't deploying when he was born. I wasn't gone all the time, so I was nice. I know I'm was a nicer dad. So when my 16-year-old saw that, I remember we were at Olive Garden eating, and he says to me, he goes, "Dad, you're never as mean to," and I'm not going to tell you his name, my son's name. My wife will kick my butt. "You're never as mean to Peanut as you were to me," and that hurt because he was right. I mean, he was spot on right. And be willing to have those conversations. And if your son says something to you that hurts you, cuts you to the bone, don't switch it. Don't push it aside. Take a step back and do your AR. So at that point, he did. We are close as hell now, but it was because of that conversation I realized I had to fix some of the things that I was doing and be a better father to him, and a different kind of father to him than I was to my younger boy, because he sees a different person than my youngster did, and my daughter. It was a humbling experience for me, but it changed my life to be a better father because he called me out.
I always with my daughter for long as I can remember. We'd go in the bedroom, sit on the bed, and it was a free zone. As long as it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. But she could say anything she wanted to me in those zones, and if she had an issue, we could talk it out. I had no problem with doing that. If I was doing something that she didn't like, I wanted to hear it. Still to this day. And I couldn't ask for a better daughter. I really couldn't. She's 20. She's still here, and she's, make sure I'm not hurting too bad every day, or if I need something, she's right there to still help out.
That's awesome. That's the best you can do. And we all do.
She brings him coffee when he's on the air. Hold on, I want to wait. He's sitting there bragging. She will make him like lattes and cappuccinos, and while he's on the air, I've seen this. I've been on the show for it. She'll deliver it, right? My 10-year-old, I could just be like, "Hey, can you get me a drink out of the fridge that you're already in the fridge?" And she'll be like, "Yeah, it's right here if you want it." And leave it on the counter next to the fridge and walk away. He gets delivery service.
That's right. You tell her. They tell her that everybody has to be responsible for
themselves. Yeah.
Oh, my wife looked at me and go, "Your legs aren't broken."
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have that second opinion in the house. I do have another question from Facebook. It just says user doesn't have a name. I apologize. Hey, Tanto, what's your opinion of the overall health of the military right now?
Terrible. No, it's terrible. I mean, of course, the attrition, it's small. It's we're not getting the numbers, and kids don't want to go in something easy. I didn't join to be easy. In fact, I asked the recruiter when I was 3 different recruiters. They were all there together. There were 4, but I'm not counting Air Force recruiter. I'm kidding, Air Force. But there was a Marine, Navy, and in Army, and they,
I didn't expect to get called out today.
I know. I love my, and believe me, PJs and combat control are some of the baddest dudes out there. I work with them. I love them. But I remember asking the recruiter, the Army recruiter, especially because I was looking at a Ranger contract. It was the RIP contract at the time. Now it's option 40 or RAS contract. And I said, is it hard? Is it tough? He goes, yeah. I go, do people quit? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, I want to do that. And I don't think we have that anymore where people think you might quit. They're looking to be pushed, and we're not pushing them. I mean, look at basic training. They can't even do the knife hand to them anymore, the shark attack. I mean, they were still throwing us around the 90s. I needed it. I'm glad they did. It made me get through a lot of shit for real that I had saw downrange later. But it's that, man, can I do it? Can I handle this? And I think that the softening and the dumbing it down is made it worse. Now, when I say dumb, I don't mean dumb as smart. I think the kids are smarter, if not smarter than when we went in.
Yeah, right.
I'm a head full of rocks. But
yeah,
it's that the challenge isn't there, and that's why we join. We join to be challenged. We join to be pushed. Mm-hmm. We don't join because we paid $10 million to the Rock to try to get people in the Army. That's not where is going to get people into the Army. It's the stupidest money you've ever spent. Army, and that's saying a lot, especially under Millie. But I'm telling you, the kids want to be put. Just like myself, I wanted to know if I could do it. Can I do this? I may not make it. Let's go then. My mom was pissed off because I just got my bachelor's degree, and here I am enlisting in the Army. So I was the biggest pendejo in the house, man. She goes, pendejo, you don't know what you're doing. But that's what made me join, and that's what made everybody at that time that I was with wanted to join. They joined. It wasn't just some was the college money, but a lot of that was like the cherry on top. It's like, man, I get to do this. I'm pushed, and I get college money, or I get my loans repaid. Which all kids out there, you can get your loans repaid. We've had a loan repayment program forever
for a long time.
It's been around since the 80s. You just have to go join the military. So I don't want to hear anything about any more loan repayments. But that is why the military is what state we're in is the sheer numbers, and they're not challenging them emotionally, mentally, physically like they did. And I'm not those guys where it's always harder. It's always harder back in the day. I do believe that. The guys in World War I were harder than World War II. World War II were harder than Korea. Korea was harder than Vietnam. Vietnam was harder than us. Yeah, it is. It's just, but it's not because the people are. It's because the bureaucrats get in there and they start to make it easier on us on the training. It gets easier. You can do less to that individual. And that's where we're in the state we're in.
I was told in boot camp for the Army now, they're giving cards, and if the instructor is being too hard on them, they can pull the card.
The stress cards, that's kind of been a wives' tale since the 90s. I never saw a stress card. They said they had some at Fort Jackson. I do know that they don't get in their face. They said they don't do the shark attack. That's not allowed anymore. The knife hands are not allowed anymore. You can't put your hands on.
Well, I'm talking about someone that went through not too long ago.
You're probably right. At Fort, they did experiment with that at Fort Jackson in the 90s, but that was the only place that they tried it. And to be honest with you, I never saw mine at Fort Benning, and you can call it Fort Moore all you want. It's Fort Benning to me, and it'll always be Fort Benning to me. But I never saw one. But I said in the 90s, the first day, a kid from New York smarted off to a drill sergeant, and the drill sergeant tagged him across the desk in his office, and I remember my sphincter went to like 10 tightness. I went, oh shit, because I remember asking my recruiter. I asked him. I said, they don't do the Full Metal Jacket stuff, and because that was the movie that we were all.
Oh yeah, we were all watching that.
He's like, no, they don't put their hands on you. And that first day, I was like, holy shit, they still do this kind of jacket stuff, but. I'm glad they did it. And those drill sergeants that I was petrified of, that I hated the first 3 weeks, when I graduated, I loved every one of those guys. And I still remember them all. Drill Sergeant Graham, Drill Sergeant Charles, and Drill Sergeant Harden. And they were the best leaders, best teachers I ever had, and they were mean as shit. But they were the best.
Best captains I had in the fire department, they were all ex-military Vietnam vets. And that's what they brought in that firehouse. They tore, and not maybe military style, but they tore my
But
ass.
I'm sure it's close.
17 years old, they tore me down, and and I was like, "Oh shit!" Went from a mouthy teenager to "Yes, sir." Okay, sir.
And that's how it should be, and teaches respect. So and roundabout, this is the Rangers, how we do things, because the privates, we always have to say things 3 times. So forgive me, guys, because I always say things 3 times. But that's the military, and today it's not challenging. It's not saying you're getting dumber or weaker kids. You're not pushing them. The training is not where it needs to be to get them physically, emotionally, and mentally ready. And I hope we don't have another GWAT. I hope we don't have another Vietnam. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, the special ops community, I still think they're getting pushed to those levels. I do. I really do. But it's a different, in that community, it's not regulated by ARCOM or the Army Command. It's SOCOM, and it's behind a fence, so they can do a little bit more on you. And the RASP is better than RIP, not physically because it's harder. RIP was a son of a bitch. That's 3 weeks of just a ball kicking the balls. RASP for Ranger Regiment is 8 or 9 weeks now. Now they're teaching the guys, so when they get to the unit, if they need to deploy, they know what to do. Where if we got to the unit, we knew how to suck, and we could road march for 30 miles and go forever, but we couldn't clear a room. We didn't know the tactics, so it's gotten better that way, at least on the regiment side of the house. I can't speak for the SEALs or pararescue or the other SOCOM elements where the NDOCs are, but I would assume that they're still pretty freaking tough because it's got to be. It's special operations, and like you said, they're still out there running ops all the time. Yeah. Syria, especially, they haven't stopped running ops since we were in Libya. We were running ops in Syria when we were in Libya. I mean, where do you think they were getting their weapons from?
Yeah, exactly.
Giving weapons we were providing Gaddafi's arms to the friendly militias, McCain called them. The friendly militias that were supporting us over there. Yeah.
The Kurds. Well, and Tanto, I want to thank you. It's been 90 minutes. I know your kid's home. I know you're aching to go get your ass kicked in DS, and I don't want to hold you any longer than we had to. Hopefully we can do this again. It'd be lovely to have you back. I had a million questions that, of course, we didn't get to because we just ended up bullshitting, which I love doing. Wouldn't trade it for the world. The questions I can ask a different time. But you can tell everyone you're on XK Tanto P.
Yep.
Just search Kris Paronto, and the first website that comes up is his. You can keep track on everything that he's up to. Tanto Vodka, you name it, you find it. It's awesome to see it on there, brother. I'm so glad you're doing well. It's so good to catch up with you, Joe.
Same thing, man. It's been too many years since we've talked.
I know. If you guys let me know if you're going to be at another like NRA or SHOT Show or another convention. I can't go to the SHOT Show this year because I was speaking event in North Dakota. That's the best place to go speak in the wintertime is North Dakota. How'd that happen? Who's holding the cards up there? But I'll be up there. But I will be at the NRA convention. And I'm still working with Force Scottians and Maxim Defense Industries and Spike Tacticals, the same people I was with when I saw you guys back in 2015. So if you are, let me know so I can come sit down and we can do another fun one, just a sit down one. But anytime, guys, you know me, just hit me up anytime. And
you got an opening.
I always have a good time hanging out with you.
You got an opening, at least for my show, and I'm pretty sure Sean feels the same.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right with that.
This is called a X Roulette, where we normally just roll through Twitter and talk about whatever pops up. So anytime you want to do it, you just give us a holler.
You got it. You got it, guys. So thank you, man. And yeah, he's poking his head over the side. Yeah. He's like this.
When you said he was home, I set the kid timer in my head. I knew it was only a matter of time. Go be dad.
All right, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I see you guys. Thanks, guys.
So much.
We'll talk
I appreciate
to you later.
it.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Tom.
Joe, thank you for being here. As always, it was a blast. Tanto is just awesome. Exactly. Seriously, we didn't get to any of the questions I asked. I was lucky to get to a couple of the questions in chat and text, so we'll do that again another time. But Jersey Joe, as always, sir, it is a pleasure. Thank you.
And food.
And you're on Friday night again at 9 on the East Coast, 6 Pacific. On also,
I will say this
sorry.
this week. I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to be on. We got a major storm coming in, and I don't
Oh,
know
that's
what
right.
to bring, and
So
there could be a
he
chance.
might be joining the accidental Navy here very shortly. So down in Florida, we wish all you guys the best of luck. We know that storm's coming in. Hopefully everyone stays safe. Obviously, Joe, I'll talk to you through all of it and make sure that you're all right. But to everybody else in the storm's way, we wish you well, and we may have coverage if needed right here in SHR Media. Jersey Joe, Reaver Common Sense, thank you, sir. You can catch me Friday. What time am I on? Oh, yeah, Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast, on the Edge of Liberty. And thank you so much for joining us on X Roulette right here on the SHR Media Network. Have a good night, folks.